find your back. Get on your stomach. Oh.
Moving into our next story of the day, we got body cam footage here of an officer being shot in the head from a suspect that's been tased. This one is wild, you guys. Support us if you haven't already by hitting that like and subscribe button, leaving us a comment down below on this video. It does help the algorithm, and double check to make sure that bell notification icon is clicked, all notifications, so you're notified whenever we upload or go live. Your support and help would be greatly appreciated. Well, this body cam footage here, we're going to watch all the way through. It's not super graphic. You're not going to see anything. But this guy punches this officer in the head. The officer then tasers him. The guy falls on the ground squirming. The officer's giving him commands, of which obviously he's not following, and then proceeds to shoot the officer in the head. The officer then puts a bunch of rounds into the guy, and then we'll stop it there and we'll talk about it because it's important. It's very important to cover this. Let's go ahead and roll.
Come here for a second, please. Because I asked you to. No. Okay? For what? Because I told you to. What I do? Well, you passed a counterfeit dollar bill back. This guy's on line one behind Ingram. Put your hands behind your back. 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 Do it now. Put your hands behind your back. Get on your stomach. Oh. Shots fired, shots fired. Dispatch, I've been shot. Give me a medic.
These guys are bleeding everywhere, man.
You're good. I'm behind 609 Ingram. Please hurry. I've been shot on the left side of my head. I can barely hear my earpiece.
Folks, officers deal with this type of stuff every single day across the United States. The guy sits there, shows up, tells the guy to stop. He has to push back. Oh, what? What do I do now? It's this typical, always when we see this. We've been watching this for decades on the show Cops. What'd I do? Why'd you stop me? This is racist because you're stopping a person of color. Whatever it may be, it's always an issue rather than having a conversation, seeing what's going on. And for all you know, maybe they'll let you go. It seemed like this had to do with counterfeit money or something very similar to the George Floyd thing. So you're almost having a repeat type of scenario here in the sense of the police are there. They're apprehending you or at least stopping you for some sort of reason to see what's going on, to question you. And he didn't even get that far into it before the guy throws a left-handed hook at the guy's head. And then he runs and he flees the scene. And so rather than shooting him, he tasers him, which is what the left says to do. Don't use lethality with them. Don't do all these things. You could hurt them. Oh, while you're trying to protect yourself. So the guy tasers him. He does a great job. Well, the guy's not listening to his commands, right? He's squirming. He's doing all these things because you can't use lethality. Not that you would in this scenario, in that specific scenario. But then the guy, in a fraction of a second, pops one off and shoots the guy in the head. And this is where the progressive left don't have any answers for you. This is where the conversation stops with them and they don't want to talk to you anymore because they don't understand that it takes that quick of a second to remove your life from this earth where you don't get to see your kids grow up. You don't get to go to their wedding. You don't get to go to their graduation. You don't get to go to their birthday parties anymore because you got an idiot here that is some scum of the earth, regardless of race. Race has nothing to do with me saying this. That individual, white, Mexican, Hispanic, European, whatever it may be, I don't care what that person is. They're a scum of the earth if they do this to a police officer or anybody else. And they're pulling this type of shenanigans. They deserve to be shot. I wish he would have shot him a few more times while he was down because this is ridiculous. Well, you know what Joy Behar and the progressive left say? They want this officer to shoot him in the buttocks or shoot a warning round in the air when something like this occurs. I'm not even kidding. We've covered this here on the Bald Brad Show. There was another scenario. I think her name was Michaela Bryant, was stabbing another person of color in the neck, and the officer shot and killed her. Joy Behar said that officer should have gave a warning fire first as the knife was penetrating her, about to penetrate her. Says, warning shot, shoot him in the buttocks. You have these people that watch these Hollywood movies. Oh, well, shoot him in the finger, shoot him in the kneecap, which I've had a friend say as well. It doesn't work like that. So when people see this, the argument completely shuts down on them and they don't want to talk to you anymore because they have nothing else to say. This guy just got shot in the head. Thank God he survived. Thank God he survived. But this is what the progressive left wants. They don't want you to have guns. They literally want to abolish the police department so you have this guy roaming around doing Lord knows what, creating more crimes for people not to have to defend themselves, because you have Joe Biden wanting to remove assault weapons, whatever the hell that means. He's kind of been doing a Freudian slip every now and then saying semi-automatic weapons. So all these things are being pushed, and you have the government that's supposed to uphold the U.S. Constitution chiseling away at your Second Amendment right so that guys like this will take advantage of your family, rob you, kill you, whatever it may be, and people just can't fathom why we have a Second Amendment. The Second Amendment isn't just for hunting. The Second Amendment is for self-preservation, for self-defense, for you to protect you, your family, and your assets. Very similar, if you go back and you look at the laws of nature that God created, you would see an animal doing the exact same thing, protecting themselves, their family, and their property or their assets. So when that gets brought down to us, we have that same right. Furthermore, over the course of human civilization, the government has gone tyrannical on their own people. And I've said this time and time again here on the Bald Brad Show. We are an outlier. Anybody know stats? An outlier is something that's really far away. It's not representative of the rest of the data set as a whole. Meaning all the other countries that were republics or democracies, in terms of their span of actually surviving that republic or democracy, we're nowhere near that. We have lasted way longer than anybody else ever has as an experiment for this to ultimately stay. And so once we don't have that anymore, then we're done. It's only a matter of time before our government goes tyrannical, before our government reaches and extends more power. And the left goes, well, that's not going to happen. No, you really think that's going to happen? You saw this with Piers Morgan and Ben Shapiro. Piers Morgan goes, you really think that your government's going to go usurpacious? And Ben Shapiro kind of comments, goes, the fact that my grandparents or my relatives didn't believe this is why they're now ash. If you didn't know anything about Ben Shapiro, he's Jewish. He had people in Auschwitz in Germany. I don't know if it's specifically Auschwitz, that camp, but people in Germany that ultimately were literally in the camps and were gassed or died of other means and ultimately put in the incendiary and turned to ash and poured down a freaking river. So this is what the left wants. Our officers deal with this all the time. And like I said, I want to present all of you to this because you're going to hear some asinine things coming out of these progressive leftist mouths about, why guns shouldn't be in the hands of police officers, why they should have these certain community type officers come out and talk these people down. You probably would have just had somebody killed at the end of the day from this guy if you were to have this person coming out with like a freaking tape measure going, okay, hey, we need to just get some information from you here, and I need to write this down because we got some calls on you, and the guy puts one right through your head, and now you don't get to see your family grow up or anything like that. So I can go on a rant forever, but I think this message gets across with all of you. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.